Hello and welcome to another episode of There Are No Secrets, where we explore mysterious true crime cases through the eyes of well-known psychic detective Pam Coronado. Today we have special guest Jan Miller with us. Jan is co-founder and president of Citizens Against Homicide. She has worked tirelessly for the last 26 years to help other families touched by violence, but has been unable to receive answers in the murder of her own daughter back in 1984. Pam is going to attempt to bring some much needed clarity today with the help of myself and Vicky. Welcome, Jan.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So Pam, when you're ready.
All right. Okay. I'm ready.
Okay. So how many suspects are there?
One.
Can you describe them for me, please?
Yes, male. And I, for clarity, am going to describe him as I see him at the time of the murder, not now. So I'm going to describe how I see him at the time.
Okay.
All right. Light hair. It's either blonde or white. It's very light colored. It feels like it's curly on top. It's short. I don't see it down below his ears or anything. It just seems like it's kind of curly on top of his head. And very light colored. I think he's on the tall side, or he's tall in comparison to her because I feel like she has to look up at him. And I have medium build. I don't think he's skinny, lanky, and I don't think he's overweight. I just think he's average build. I'm still struggling to get a really, really good look at his face.
What about scars, marks, tattoos, anything like that?
Right, because I feel like he's a pretty average, normal looking guy. Other than his hair is just, I don't see very many people have hair that light colored. So he sticks out to me for that reason. Anything unusual about him? Tattoos, scars. He does have a scar. I do think he has a scar. I don't know if he has any tattoos, but I do think he has a scar.
Where is it?
Not sure which side. Down the side of his cheek, he's got a scar.
Okay. What language does he speak?
He speaks English, but I think he also speaks French. So I kind of want to go back to like her first encounter with him, or where.
Okay, then go ahead.
Her first encounter with him. So I want to say this too about Ronnie. Jen, I'm going to ask you this. Was she a talker?
Yes.
Yeah, because I feel like she's fairly bubbly and talkative. And unfortunately, I feel like that talkativeness, she may have revealed some things about herself or her living situation, or something like that somebody heard, or she either told them directly or they overheard her talking. But I feel like she was sort of an innocent, sort of bubbly, sort of talkative kind of girl, and wouldn't really think twice about that kind of thing necessarily. The reason I'm saying all that, because I feel like she encountered this person earlier, or he heard her talking or something. So I don't know if she was in a public space talking about her plans and he overheard her or something like that. It's kind of what it seems like. Or she was actually telling him. But I feel like somehow he came to knowledge of her being alone or vulnerable. And so I don't know if this was earlier in the same day or this was I kind of feel like it was maybe earlier in the same day. Not positive about that, but I just feel like it was earlier because I kind of feel like he either followed her.
How
Yeah.
about when she encounters him in the house? What is her reaction?
Yeah, and let me see if she knows or recognizes or knows. I almost feel like she opens a door for him. Not positive, but I feel like he pretended like he had something for her. I almost feel like his ruse to get in was like he had something for her, like a gift or a food or I don't know. I feel like there was some ruse to why he was there.
Does she seem surprised or shocked or
She
confused?
seemed surprised for him to be there. But like I said, there's some ruse. He's got some sort of excuse, some sort of.
Does she recognize him when she opens the door?
I think she does. I think she does. I don't think if he was I just don't think if he was a total stranger, she would have opened the doors readily. I just feel like she recognized him.
Well, when she recognized him, did she say a name? Was there a name? She said, like, anything?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I feel like she knows his face. I feel like she knows his face. She's seen him before, but I'm not sure if she knows his name.
Okay.
How about any of her friends? Do any of her friends know him?
Like she worked in a place where she would have seen him or he would have seen her. Maybe I just feel like, somebody comes in to your place and you've seen them before, but you don't necessarily know their name, or it's that kind of feeling to me. Because I kind of get this short period of time, like 2 weeks maybe. I just get this short period of time where she was encountering him or he was seeing her or something like that. It doesn't feel like a long extended amount of time, but I feel like somehow over the past 2 weeks or something, she had maybe seen him.
Where did this guy see Ronnie from? I mean, if he saw her, where was he when he saw her?
I feel like it was at her work, like wherever her work.
So was he in the same building or outside that building?
Inside.
What was he doing inside that building?
So I feel like it's a restaurant environment or something like that where you would sit, because I feel like he's sitting there and watch her. I feel like he'd sit in there,
But his
watch
purpose for
her or listen to her.
but his purpose for going into the building, what was it? Was he a customer or was he a worker or owner or what?
Oh, I get what you're
What's his
saying.
purpose for being inside the building?
Oh, why was he inside the building? I feel like customer. I don't feel that vibe of it being like a coworker or somebody that she knew that well. I feel more like customer.
What did he do for a living then?
What did he do for a living? I almost feel like he was in sales or something like that.
You know what type of sales?
Well, this is where I keep bouncing around because at first I thought he was like a door-to-door salesman, and then I wasn't sure. I definitely feel like sales, though. some sort of sales.
Okay.
You know, that's the thing about this guy. That's the thing about this guy. And that's the thing about this ruse of showing up with some sort of gift or some sort of food or something. It's like, hey, look, I baked you a pie. You know what I mean? Like something weird. But I feel like he's got that kind of personality where he's smooth, like he's like a salesman.
Okay. Why did he choose her? Let me ask it this way. Why did this happen?
Yeah. I really think it was an opportunity thing. I really think he heard her talking in a way that made her vulnerable. I just keep thinking he overheard her talking about being alone or living alone or being vulnerable in some way. Like, I don't think she thought twice about telling people those personal details, but I just feel like this guy was listening.
What was his intention when he went there?
Probably rape. I feel like she'd be super nice to you too. Even in weird situation like that, I feel like she'd still be nice to you until all of a sudden realizing something's horribly wrong. Like, I feel like she'd still be nice to him, even though he's invading her space or doing something weird. She would still be pleasant and nice until she realized something's wrong here.
So his intention was rape?
I believe so.
Has he done this again?
Interesting. Oh, interesting. Okay. He's definitely of the date rape kind of guy. So when you ask me if he's ever done this before, he's not the guy that jumps out of the bushes and grabs somebody and drags them behind a building. He's a date rape kind of guy. You know what I mean by that, though? Like, he's not the guy who's lurking around in the dark, jumping out at people. But do I think that he would? I think he has a pattern of date rape or something like that? Yes, probably.
So what does he look like today? Meaning May 30th, 2020.
Trying to make sure he's alive, make sure that he's actually still around with us. So I feel like he's gained weight. I feel like he's got a belly. I feel like he's either bald or has very little hair. I don't see hardly any hair. So he's either bald or he's got very, little hair.
How about any distinguishing features, scars, marks, tattoos, piercings, anything?
Right. What's interesting too is like he seemed tall and thin in the beginning, and now he seems shorter. I think it's just because he's gained weight. And his face and head is a little round. He's kind of got a round shape face.
So during the day, his day-to-day work, was he stationary in a building or was he moving around?
Thank you. That was a good question. I feel like moving around. I feel
Company
like
car or his personal car?
his car. I think his car. I guess we could let Jan and Shelley and those guys ask questions.
Can you go back to the crime scene?
Yeah.
And tell us what he saw as he walked in, or how he left, or before he walked in?
What he saw, how he. I'm not sure I understand the question though.
Oh, okay. How did he approach the crime scene, or what did he see as he was approaching the crime scene? Or who did he see?
Let me go back to the day, back to the crime scene. There's something really strange about this whole scenario because I feel like I don't necessarily feel like this was the only time he'd ever been there or something, because I keep thinking, because I see him seeing like the mailman or a neighbor or a male, another male, and it seems like daytime. Then I feel like he's there at nighttime though.
Was that the first time he's ever been in her house or apartment, whatever she lived in?
Is that the first time he'd ever been to her place? Well, I will say there's this weird stalker vibe that comes up, almost like somebody who drove by and scouted it out or something like that. But I almost feel like he was around. It's almost like he scoped this place out. I don't necessarily think that this was the first time he had been there or had been in the neighborhood or something.
Maybe he lives nearby.
Either lived nearby or was kind of like watching to get a feel for her routine or.
Maybe this will help. Where did he go after, when he left the crime scene? Where did he go?
So he's got blood on him. I actually think he did some weird stuff in the house. Because I keep thinking he's got a knife. I see a knife. And don't know if he tried to rinse it off in the sink or something. But I see bloody water in the sink. So I don't know if he tried to wash himself off or wash the weapon off or something. I see him coming in the front. I'm trying to see if he goes back out the front or some other way out. I almost feel like he goes out a side. I almost feel like he goes out the side of the house. Like, I don't know if it's a side door or a side window. I almost feel like he goes out the side of the house, though, instead of back out the front door. I mean, I can't imagine. I just feel like there's got to be blood all over the place. Like, it can't be a very clean crime scene.
Did he see someone else when he walked in or when he left?
I don't know. I mean, I keep seeing another man. I keep seeing a male. So like a mailman or a neighbor, or I keep seeing another male though.
In the apartment?
Outside the apartment.
Outside. Does he know him?
Oh, so you're always wanting to know if there's a second person?
No,
Not
no,
exactly.
No, not a co-offender. Just somebody he might know.
Well, I saw him wave at somebody to say hello, and I wasn't sure if he was just being friendly or he knew the person. You know what I mean? Like, you see somebody on the street and you wave. So I wasn't sure if he knew him or if he was just saying hello.
So how old is this person, other person?
Going back again in time to that period.
Yes.
Well, I thought that other person was older than him.
Did he take anything from the apartment with him?
Yeah, what is he doing in there? I swear he did something like change his shoes or take off his shoes. He either changed his shoes or took off his shoes, something like that. Because I think like not wanting to track blood outside or something, I don't know. But did he take something else? I feel like he got into her closet, though. He may have taken a trophy or something. I feel like he got into her closet. He may have taken like a little piece of jewelry. He may have taken something. Some sort of jewelry or some sort of little trophy. Because I do see him rummaging through her closet.
Was he married at the time?
I don't think so. If he was playing the field. He acts like a single guy to me. And the reason I say that again, it comes up this idea of he's very date rapey, this guy. He's one of those guys that, I don't say he would drug all of his women, but he's one of those guys that would find a way into your place and then attack you. I feel like that's a pattern with him. So.
You said you see a knife and you see him cleaning a knife. Did he bring the knife with him, or did he find it in the apartment?
I might have brought it. He might have brought it. He could have found one in the apartment, but I feel like he used to have one like strapped to his like ankle or something inside his pants. Is that a thing? I don't know. I feel like he strapped it to the inside of his.
It's a thing. Can you describe the knife since we're here?
The one that I see like strapped to his leg.
The one that he used, yeah.
I see curved blade, and maybe a curved handle, black plastic. Like it looks like a hunting knife to me. The one I see.
Have the police interviewed him?
I'm inclined to say yes, and I'm inclined to say he volunteered.
Do you know when they interviewed him? Meaning in the beginning of the investigation, in the middle of the investigation, how many times have they interviewed him? How many times have they talked to him?
Once. I'm not a positive about this, but I almost get the sense like he thought it would look good if he voluntarily came in himself or, volunteered himself up or something. It's almost like he made it look like, oh, look how cooperative I am. If I had anything to hide, I wouldn't be in here. You know what I mean? That's kind of vibe I get.
Have I ever talked to him?
I think he stayed clear of you. I think he's tried to stay clear of you. I think he's afraid you'll have like mother's intuition or something.
Pam, could he have bleached his hair at one time?
Yes, because it's so weirdly unnatural.
Mm-hmm.
That really stuck out to me, how weird his hair was. Like, it's unnatural. You probably don't watch The Bachelor. But there was a Bachelor on there. There was a Bachelor. Vicky's like, oh my God. There was a Bachelor on there named Sean Lowe? Maybe Sean Lowe. He reminded me of that guy. Sort of, he just reminded the shape of his face and stuff. It's just sort of like, and Russell Crowe has got that same sort of broad face and then the hair on top. So I could see that. Yeah.
When you were describing the hair, I was thinking of Guy Fieri from the Food Network. How?
His hair's like spiky though.
But I mean, how white his hair is.
Yeah.
That's how I was thinking of when you said.
Because I kept thinking, why is his hair so white? It's an unnatural. It's like an unnatural. It didn't look like a normal blonde. Like it just struck me as weird. And now I don't think he's got. Now I'm like, is he bald? Now I don't think he's got much hair, if any.
Where did he go once he left the crime scene?
And here's the thing too, is I get this sense from him, like, I really don't think he maybe was prepared for the mess situation. Because now he's just like, how do I get out of here without tracking blood everywhere? And like all of a sudden now he's in a situation of trying to get out of there. But after because I keep thinking he's like takes off his shoes, or he's he may have even like tried to find some socks or something of hers to put on or something. And then when he leaves, I think he goes right home to get cleaned up. I think he goes home to get cleaned up.
How does he get home?
You know, that's a mystery to me too, because he gets in a car. So I'm not sure where the car was parked when this is happening, but I feel like there's a car. Let me see if I can see it. It's blue. Oh, it might be a Ford Mustang. You know that blue, that mid-range blue Ford Mustang color? The old, the old 80s style Mustangs. They have this blue color. I kind of feel like he maybe had a blue Mustang.
So was he injured?
Yes.
Can you see where?
He's scratched on his face. I actually can't believe that they didn't have, maybe, because I feel like she pulled some of his hair out too. But I think she scratched his face and something happened to his finger. Like, I don't know whether if she cut him or he cut himself or he cut his pinky finger. I honestly don't know if she got a hold of the knife or if he just hurt himself in a struggle or something, but he cut his finger. So there was quite a struggle.
So did he stage the crime scene at all?
Well, I was wondering that because I kept thinking he was moving around doing stuff after, which was weird, and I couldn't figure out what he was doing. So I would say probably, because I feel like he spends time in there afterwards. Like, I don't know what he's doing in there, but I feel like he does spend time in there afterwards. There's this weird thing about going into her clothes closet, though. I keep seeing him go into her clothes closet.
Do you see what he takes out?
I just kept thinking like I saw something pink fuzzy, like pink fuzzy slippers or something. Not that he took them, but I just see him like, so I don't know. I just keep seeing that scene though. I just keep seeing him getting in her clothes closet for some reason. The thing about him that sticks out at me is there has to be other victims. There has to be other rapes. Even if they're like the kind where the women didn't come forward and tell.
Date rape.
Date rape.
Date rapes. I keep getting that
They
date
often
rape
don't.
scene with him.
Is this his only murder victim?
I kind of tend to think so, oddly enough.
Before this or after this one?
No, I feel like this is probably maybe the only one.
Was there a murder weapon used?
Besides a knife? You mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I don't see a gun, I don't think. See the knife. The only other thing that comes up is he may have grabbed something inside the apartment, hit her with, like something breakable maybe. But I don't feel like he brought something. I don't feel like he brought something.
Can you see what she was doing when he came to her apartment?
I feel like she was sitting. I don't know. I feel like she was sitting. You know, I just keep getting the sense too that she opened the door to him without being totally freaked out.
What does she do just prior to opening the door?
Well, I do feel like she looked out. Or there was like a side window or some sort of like she was able to look. I feel like she looked, if that's what you're talking about.
Mhm.
And then he appeared like super friendly, like waving at her and like, look, I have something for you. Like as non-threatening as you could be. That's how it appears.
And how does she feel?
Like I don't think she's scared. I think she's surprised. But I don't think she's alarmed or freaked out at that point. And like I said, you know, she's the kind of girl where even if he's being kind of weird to be in her place, I think she'd still be nice to him. Like she'd still be polite until all of a sudden she realized something's wrong. Like she'd still be nice to him. She wouldn't be all, what are you doing here, and be rude. You know what I mean? She'd be nice. I feel like she'd be nice to him. Is that true?
Oh, that's very true. That part you're right on.
Yeah.
That's her.
Pam,
Yeah.
the place where she worked when this occurred, did anyone know the perpetrator? Anyone that worked the place where she worked? Does anyone know the perpetrator by name, by association?
Is this a restaurant?
Yes.
Okay. So I feel like the reason I keep seeing him sitting in like a booth or something. But I feel like there may have been like a dark-haired, possibly Hispanic, not sure, but a dark-haired cook. I may have known him or something. So that was the answer.
So if so say Jan were to give a description of the perp to anyone that worked there, including the chef, would they say, yep, I know this person? That's what I'm trying to get to.
Well, like I said, I think he knew one of the cooks.
Is anybody that he know? Do they know that he did this? Or do they believe that he did this? And then I have another part after that.
Does anybody that he knows suspect him or know?
Or know that he did this?
I really don't think so. I
Why?
think he's such a good actor. Like he probably talked to people about it, you know, and acted all sympathetic and stuff like that.
Why isn't he on the police's radar?
Because he was so cooperative. Yeah, you know, as I listen to, I hear again, I just am super suspicious about names sometimes, but I still hear something. He's got like a really common name, like Johnson or something like that. Like he's got a common
His surname is common, you're saying.
Yeah. Okay, Vicky, you said you had like some amazing question.
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
What did the police miss at the crime scene?
Oh, that is a good question. That is a good question. What did the police miss at the crime scene? Ooh. Well, they definitely missed some fingerprints. Yeah, they definitely missed some fingerprints. Anything else?
Then I have a follow-up for you on that.
That's the other thing I don't understand. Because I feel like she ripped out a clump of hair. I just keep thinking she ripped out a clump of his hair. And I don't understand why they wouldn't have found that. Maybe they did, but.
Well, they did.
They did?
In her hands.
Okay. All right. Well, wouldn't they have DNA on that?
No, it was degraded because we're talking 1984,
Oh.
and it was in her hands, but her hands were covered in her own blood.
Okay.
So it was all degraded.
Okay. Got it. Because I kept thinking, there's hair. I know there's hair. I know she ripped hair out of his head.
So what do the police have in their possession right now that can link this guy to that crime? Or what should they go back over and really, really key on?
I just feel like they weren't interested in this guy, really. For whatever reason, I just feel like they weren't super interested in him. I really feel like he went in of his own volition. I feel like he may have been taken into the interrogation room and given a statement. I don't feel like he wrote it himself. I feel like they took notes. Yeah, I don't feel like he wrote it himself. I feel like they took notes. I would be shocked to find out he did not go in there voluntarily and say something like, you know, I saw that girl where she worked or something, and I heard about it, and this is so terrible, and I just wanted to come and talk to you. I just feel like he did that. And they went, oh, what a nice guy. It couldn't possibly be him. Look how cooperative this guy is. You know what I mean? Like, he's just really slick. He's really slick. Does that make sense, Jan?
Well, a lot of things that you said make sense. I've read most of the case. I've lived with it intimately to the point that I've obviously driven a few detectives to drink or retirement. And, you know, I'm not giving up till we come to a conclusion. The other guy, who is now dead, would have been 42 at the time, and he was a construction worker.
Mm.
So, you know, I mean, those are facts. That much, those are specifics that I do know. That's not my guessing or my. Anyway, chubby little happy kind of face.
Yeah.
Pudgy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that the Russell Crowe that you're talking about?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
And these guys had this clothespin club, and Ronnie was the only girl invited to be a part of their clothespin club, and they gave her a clothespin. That day, that afternoon, she had gone water skiing with these people, and then went to class, and then she was murdered late that night. Late, like midnight.
Okay.
The one that's currently dead, he was working on the construction site a couple of doors down, and he was interviewed only once that day of the murder, because he came to where all the activity was, where all the noise was going on, and he was interviewed by the police. One time, just one time.
Yeah.
I've never seen his picture, actually. I only saw one photo of him, and he was much older. So I don't have that piece of information.
Do you have DNA in this case?
We do have DNA. The most recent DNA we have gotten has been from the skin cells, and there was no, let me go back. I'm sorry. But that is true. What I just said. We've sent out a washcloth that was taken from the crime scene that had blood on it, that we felt he was injured, and he took the washcloth, and then it was dropped a few blocks away.
You should add in that he did wash his hands
Oh, yeah.
in the sink.
Definitely, he washed his
Oh, he
hands in the
did.
sink. There was blood in the drain pipe. They found that. That was mostly her blood. I mean, there was a lot of her blood. The crime scene was exceptionally violent. The whole room was covered, all the walls with blood everywhere. It was an exceptionally violent crime scene.
And the closet
doors were broken because of
Really?
the body, the movement, the fight. Ronnie wasn't a particularly tall girl. You know, she was shorter than my other children, but she was very, very strong, exceptionally athletic. She was a horseback rider all her life, and she was on the wrestling team at school. So when this fight ensued, I have always believed that it was supposed to be a rape. But she fought, and then he had to fight, and it was a fight to the end.
Yeah.
There was no forced entry.
No, there was no forced entry. We always knew she let him in, and it was only 110 degrees. So the odds are the door wasn't even closed, probably just the screen door. That's,
Which is why she could see out.
so she could have seen him coming.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to your question on the DNA, the first DNA that we got way back was from a pair of leggings. She had to wear leggings on the job. She worked at the Italian cottage, and they wore a little what do you call that type of a top? Peasant. That's it. There you go. A peasant style, you know, top blouse with then a little skirt with little straps that went across the top, you know. And when the first thing they found that they ran DNA on was her leggings had what they referred to as spittle, and they had been thrown on top of blood splatter. So they felt that it was either the murderer who came back into the room after washing his hands, saw the chaos and started to get sick, grabbed the leggings, didn't really throw up, it's spittle, and then threw it down, and it's on top of blood splatter. So they got the DNA. The DNA we found on there matched no one in CODIS or any of those things. So the detective ran the DNA of every law officer that came on the scene, every EMT that came on the scene, everybody that came to the scene that day, and it matched none of them. And then there was her friend found her by looking through the window that had been left open, and they always believed that the murderer left through the window. Came in the front door, but left through the bedroom window. Her bedroom was on the street level. It was not upstairs. So when Leslie, her friend, saw her through because she didn't show up for work, saw her through the window, the chaos of the room, she started to scream, and there were men that came from the construction site that was behind her building. And one of them, who was a Vietnam vet, said, "I'll jump in. If anything I can do, I can help." He got in. He let them know, "No, don't come in here." And how he left and who called the police, I don't have those details anymore in my head. But they got his DNA also, thinking maybe he was that person. Mm-hmm. So as the years passed, and then recently, we have, through a private lab, had that spittle tested again. And they still came up with nothing in CODIS, and nothing matched any of Ronnie's friends and anybody that we could possibly think of. And so they ran it through a 23andMe or an Ancestry.com, one of those places. Right. And they came up with a family. And the family had 6 children. 4 were girls, and we knew this was male, so 2 were boys. One of the boys was not in the Butte County area at all, but the other one was. And he was working the construction site down the street, not behind the building like those that came to the scene that day, but down the street. And his name is Claude Wilson. And Claude Wilson was not a name that I knew, and trust me, I've read everything there was to read, and even the detective who's been working on it since the day it started, he's retired now, but he's still working on it. He did not recognize that name, but he went back and started reading from day one, and he said, we interviewed Claude Wilson the day they found the body, and he had come up to the scene because of the commotion going on. Just a neighborly person. He was working down the street. He came, he chatted. They only interviewed him once. They wrote him off as no interest, no big deal. He just showed up and walked away. And but he's dead. He died a couple of years ago, and we've tried to figure out more about him to see that his DNA is what's on that spittle, on that thing, that garment that was thrown on top of the blood spotter. I think I gave you the whole. I think I gave you all the pieces to the puzzle that I have.
Ronnie would have seen him because he was working on that job site. She would have been walking past him, so she would have known him.
Right.
And he would have said hello. She would have been friendly and said hello.
Absolutely, absolutely. If she was walking or riding her bike or out jogging, she would have come across him.
And she went running all the time.
Yeah, that's
Was
what
he
she
missing
did.
any hair? Did they notice any hair missing
That
from
clump
his
of
head?
hair missing.
They didn't. I don't think they spent more than 3.5 minutes with him. It was just a short interview. Where's your address? What's your name? What's your phone number? What are you doing here? Oh, you're working the job down there. You saw all this commotion, the police cars. You came up to see what's going on. That was the extent of that interview. As far as I can tell, I haven't actually read exactly what he said, but that's basically the extent of the. And he was there. He didn't live in that town. He lived in Oroville, but he was on that job for a couple of days. So yeah, he could have gone to the Italian cottage to eat. He could have seen there also. Could have seen her there also. She was there alone. Her roommates were coming up on the weekends and moving their own stuff in, but she was going to summer school, which was why she was there alone at the time. And a lot of times they would come up on the Thursday, stay till Monday or Tuesday. And matter of fact, there were a whole group of them coming up on Friday night to be there for the next weekend with her.
But 2 other people heard screams.
Well, the people in the apartment number 1 and the apartment number 3, the apartment number 1 was in the shower, and he heard noise, thought it was screaming, and then heard an amazing thud, which we deemed was when the closet doors were broken. And then he got out of the shower and he didn't hear any more noise. And he just wrote it off as, oh, those noisy, college girls next door, they're always, making a lot of noise. The other guy on number 3, he was asleep and he heard noise and what he thought was a door slamming. Thought his wife had come home. I don't know if it's his wife or the girlfriend anymore, but thought she had come home, and he thought the door just slammed. But then a couple of hours later, when she actually came home and got into bed, he was realized that that what he had heard earlier wasn't her. So then he wasn't sure what he heard, and until he found out there had been a murder next door, he deemed that was what he heard, was some noise from that. But neither one of them actually responded, but they both put the time of the murder at the same time. Everybody puts it at the same time, literally right after midnight.
You said Claude. Sounds French. Is that a French name?
Claude.
Claude.
Yeah.
Claude would be a French name, in my opinion, but his last name is Wilson, very generic, like
Just
Johnson.
Huh.
You said he speaks French.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I think you said maybe.
He speaks French.
That's right.
Yeah. Weird.
Emily didn't like
No one was in there with her from. I have to guess at the time, but it's about from about 20 after 11 until about 10 minutes to 12, she was on the telephone with her boyfriend down here in San Rafael. And then her boyfriend's name was Dominic. So when she's talking to Dominic, Dominic says they were having their normal conversation, you know, and she didn't have a TV in that apartment. She was reading. She was reading her book, sitting on the couch.
And had a glass of water.
And she had a glass of water by the side. And she was talking to Dominic. And Dominic says that, you know, they were just chatting away, catching up, and he was coming up the next day. And then he said he could tell that, you know how when someone walks into the room and you drop your tone of voice, your volume down a bit. So he felt like someone had maybe come to the apartment, but she didn't say, oh, so-and-so's here. She didn't do anything like that, but he felt like someone had come in or come to the door because she dropped her voice down. But he said they continued the conversation for a couple more minutes, and then they ended it in a very natural way. And that was the end of the conversation. And from what we can tell, she was dead within 10 minutes of that conversation ending.
Wow. Huh. Okay. I got nothing left. I don't know how you guys.
She doesn't.
Well, yeah, everything you said was so amazing because I'm reading and I'm writing and I'm writing and I'm saying, wow.
Huh. Well, I definitely got that sense about, you know, it being such a bloody mess that sort of freaked him out or took him by surprise, or he wasn't expecting that. And then he was trying to figure out how to deal with that.
Yeah.
I definitely got that sense of like, that's why I saw the washing in the sink and some of that stuff, because I was just like, he does not know how to deal with this and how to even get out of there without tracking blood all over the place. And, you know, he knew that there was the potential for.
There was one bloody shoe print to get out the window, but then there was nothing outside.
Right. That's what, I kept thinking, he took his shoes off. I think you talked about the closet. So we aren't sure where the second uniform that she had for the Italian cottage, but that was taken from somewhere, whether it was her closet or not, and then laid out somehow on the bed. I don't know the exactly because I did not look at those photos, but so the police felt that was staged, that you know, they knew what you could see what she had there, but then that was this other uniform was. That would make sense because I couldn't figure out what the heck he was doing in her closet and messing with her stuff. Like, why is he messing with her clothes? Yeah.
That's why that was. Who knows? You know.
Well, they also said that they thought he wasn't a professional in this. Like, this was the first time he killed. This was a crime of passion. You could tell you could tell that it was somebody that was not experienced at killing.
Yeah. And I really kind of believe he may not have ever done it again, that it sort of freaked him out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think there's probably some date rapes and stuff like that, but I really kind of got the feeling like it's freaked him out and he never did that again.
Yeah. Well, I thank you very much.
You're welcome. No, you're welcome. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, we'll keep working on it, obviously, and if anything pops into my head or anything comes up about how we can clarify, but I would definitely like to see pictures.
Yeah, we'll get them to you.
We'll put this thing together again.
Yes, that's right. There is tissue from his autopsy, and so they can do that. I think that's one of the things that the ball got dropped with this virus and stuff. We kind of have to go back and follow up with that.
Very recent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet all three of you, and nice to
Yeah.
spend some time.
No, I hope it helps. So we would like to get you some closure here. Not that
Well, we
you'd
will.
like to get some
Justice.
I would
We'll
like
just look for justice.
Thank you, Jan, for joining us, and thank you for watching There Are No Secrets.
Thank you.